There's a big difference between talking and reporting, especially right now with a fire hose worth of news coming your way. You know what helps? Having reporters in the field. I'm Brad Milkey from ABC News, and that's what we've got on ABC's daily podcast, Start Here. Every morning, Start Here takes you across the country and around the world for a quick, smart look at the stories that matter. It's fast, it's straightforward, and sometimes, gasp, news can even be fun. So let's meet up tomorrow morning. Listen to Start Here wherever you get your podcasts.
Today on CityCast Philly, our city sees a lot of trash. Last year, 3,000 old tires were pulled out of the Schuylkill River. That's according to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. And the tire trash problem is getting worse. There's actually a law to crack down on this type of illegal dumping, but it's not really enforced. Could that change under Mayor Cherelle Parker's administration? It's Wednesday, February 7th. I'm Trenae Nuri, and here's what Philly's talking about. Jordan Teicher, you recently wrote about tire dumping in Philly for Grid Magazine. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Jordan, 3,000 tires getting pulled from the Schuylkill River? I mean, how could someone dump so many tires and not get caught?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it's something the city is trying to figure out. Unfortunately, the fact is that the Schuylkill River is not the only place that folks are dumping tires without getting caught. You'll find tires dumped in parks, in abandoned lots, in businesses. There's thousands of tires that get dumped illegally all over the city.
So what's the problem when tires aren't properly disposed of?
Tires are a public health issue. Tires hold a lot of water, so that's a perfect breeding ground for mosquitoes, which carry diseases. It's also a public safety issue. Tires are highly flammable, and over the years, there have been a number of high-profile instances where you see piles of dumped tires catching fire and sending smoke up for miles. So this is a really big problem, both for our health, for our safety, and also it's just a quality of life issue. No one wants to have trash in their neighborhood, and tires are a really difficult kind of trash to remove. They're heavy. You can't just pick them up and put them in a bag. Right. So this is something that a lot of neighborhoods are struggling with right now.
So this illegal tire dumping is a really bad problem in the city. Jordan, do we know who's doing the dumping?
We do. For the most part, it's small commercial haulers. What happens is tire dealers will have used tires that their customers don't need anymore. And frequently what I'm hearing from Nick Esposito, who's the former head of the Litter and Waste Cabinet, which was created under former Mayor Jim Kenney's administration. He says what these tire dealers would do is frequently hire a small hauler to take the tires away. Usually the dealers don't know where the haulers are bringing them. And basically what they're doing is just bringing them wherever they can go in the city where they don't think they're going to be caught. They'll dump them, and it's a time and cost-effective way to get rid of tires.
Has this gotten worse over the years?
Yeah, unfortunately, it has only gotten worse. In 2022, the city removed more than 2,600 tons of tires. And if you do the math there, that's hundreds of thousands of tires.
So we just mentioned that tires were found in the Schuylkill River. You said tires get found in lots and places where people don't think they'll get caught. I've seen tires under I-95. Are there other hot spots in the city where this is all happening?
If you look at the data of where 311 requests are coming in, people complaining about tires being dumped, it often goes into some of the poorest zip codes in the city. So you're going to find a lot of tire dumping there. Another great spot to dump tires is a place called legacy dumping spots. So sites that have over generations been a spot where people dump all kinds of trash. So it's kind of this vicious cycle where if there's already trash somewhere, it's an invitation for more trash to be dumped. So if you go over to Snake Road, which I did for the story, in the Longcrest neighborhood, there's all kinds of trash there, and tires are just some of the trash that shows up.
Okay, so you talk to residents in Longcrest. How do they keep their neighborhood clean of this junk?
Well, it's really a struggle. In Longcrest, I visited Snake Road, which is a legacy dumping site, and they've tried a number of things to deal with the trash problem there. The streets department has installed a couple security cameras, but residents say that it hasn't really helped. They also organize cleanups themselves, take matters into their own hands. But when it comes to something like tires, they really can't do that on their own. So they have to call 311 frequently to have them come deal with it. And the residents there tell me that the city has even paid a contractor to come by once a month to deal with tires and other trash.
More on Philly's tire dumping problem after the break. This is CityCast Philly.
Shipping can make or break a sale, so optimize how you ship your orders with ShipStation. They make it easy to automate and manage orders no matter how big your business grows. And they might even be able to help reduce shipping and warehouse costs. So optimize and keep up your momentum for growth with ShipStation. Sign up for your free 60-day trial now at ShipStation.com and use the code POD. That's ShipStation.com with the code POD.
Jordan, you've been reporting on this tire dumping problem. There seems to be a law on the books to maybe be a possible solution to the problem. Can you tell us how the law is supposed to work?
Yeah, so I spoke with Nick Esposito. He was the head of the Zero Waste and Litter Cabinet, which was created under former Mayor Jim Kenney's administration. And the cabinet was designed to come up with ways to tackle the city's illegal dumping problem and other waste-related issues. And he helped come up with this ordinance that was passed by City Council a couple years back. Nick looked at the problem of tire dumping, and he found that the problem really starts with tire dealers who are not disposing of their old tires properly. So the ordinance that was passed in City Council requires tire dealers to get a license through the city's Department of Licenses and Inspections. And in order to qualify for the license, they have to contract with a state waste tire transporter. And they also have to keep a manifest documenting every old tire they receive and every tire that then goes out for disposal. So this law went into effect a couple years back, and it was designed to make sure that all tires that are coming into tire dealers are getting disposed properly. But I checked in with LNI, that is the Licenses and Inspections Department, and they told me that this ordinance hasn't been truly rolled out yet. So there's still some issues with making sure that the city knows where all the tire dealers are in the city and how they're getting rid of old tires.
Okay, I was just going to ask you, has this law actually made any difference?
It hasn't. Unfortunately, the tire problem has only gotten worse. In 2016, the city removed over 1,300 tons of tires. And then in 2022, it was more than 2,600 tons. So that's almost double the amount of tires. And the complaints about tire dumping are also continuing to rise. According to the mayor's office, there were almost 2,100 service requests regarding tires in 2022. That's more than 5 calls per day. Back in 2017, there was less than 2,000 calls. It was about 1,700 calls. So people are still aware of this problem. They're calling into the city asking for help. And the city is spending a ton of money getting rid of old tires. They're spending more than $200,000 just on disposal fees every year now. And if you factor in costs like labor and fuel, it's somewhere around $1.5 million a year.
Jordan, I'm curious, from a tire dealer's perspective, I mean, what's the challenge with getting rid of old tires?
The biggest challenge of getting rid of old tires is finding a place for them to go. The city has 6 sanitation convenience centers, which take all kinds of waste, including tires. But this is only for residential waste, and they have a cap on how many tires you can bring in every day. I believe it's 4 tires per day. So these small haulers that are taking the vast majority of tires from tire dealers are not able to get rid of these tires at these sanitation convenience centers. I asked the state for a list of where tires can be properly disposed. They only provided 2 locations in the Philly area. I called one of them. They say they don't take tires anymore. That's the one in Philly. So the nearest one is in Conshohocken, as far as I can tell. And that's 30 more minutes outside the city. If you look at the round trip, it's an hour. So you can see why some small haulers who are looking to make a quick buck aren't going to drive all that way outside of the city to properly dispose of tires and pay for the disposal fee there.
It could be a financial burden on them.
Exactly.
Mayor Cherelle Parker has focused on stopping short dumping in her 100-day action plan. How does she plan to address all of this?
It's not totally clear how Mayor Parker plans to address this. As you said, she does plan to do something about it, and she has identified waste as a top priority in her 100-day action plan. But the plan is kind of light on details. I understand that the administration says there will be some sort of public tracker to update residents on how the city is doing at tackling dumping and waste generally. But we have to wait and see how that turns out.
Jordan Teicher, freelance reporter for Grid Magazine. Thanks so much for breaking the story down on CityCast Philly.
Thanks for having me on.
We'll have a link to Jordan's full story in our show notes. That's all for today here on CityCast Philly. Let us know what you think of this episode about illegal tire dumping in the city. Tell your neighbor. Rate the show, leave us a review, and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to sign up for our morning newsletter, Hey Philly, to learn more about what else Philly's talking about. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Bye.